is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. All right, so this is the situation we have right here, ladies and gentlemen. We have an area of interest in the Gulf of Mexico. You can see that broad rotation that is going on right there. The cloud tops, cool cloud tops that are approaching Florida with some rain. In the coming days, we're going to go ahead and show you what's going on. Here's the NHC Outlook as of 8 a.m. this morning. Eastern Gulf of Mexico, an area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms are associated with a surface trough of low pressure interacting with an upper level trough over the Eastern Gulf of Mexico. Environmental conditions appear only marginally favorable for additional development over the next several days as the system meanders over the eastern Gulf of Mexico. It's then forecast to move through Florida and then emerge into the southwest Atlantic Ocean. Regardless of development, it could produce heavy rainfall and gusty winds over portions of the Florida Peninsula later this week. So it definitely could enhance that flood threat we were talking about yesterday. So that's the situation we have right here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a 10% chance of development in the next 48 hours, and in the next 7 days, it is 20% chance of development right here. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, as this is what we got going on in the tropics right now. And considering that there is still a 20% chance of development, anything can happen. Now, here's the things that are working for it. The thing that's working for it the most is the warm sea temperatures around 27 degrees Celsius or 80.6 degrees Fahrenheit for those of you who live in the United States. That's where the low pressure system is right there. Has plenty of warm water to develop. If you take a look at the ocean heat content, there is still something there. It's by that warm Gulf Stream that's going on in parts of the Gulf of Mexico right there. So it's definitely working for it, but what's working against it? Obviously, it's the wind shear right here. The wind shear around the system is not very good. Where it is, it's around 20 knots or so, which is manageable, but around it, it's just a volatile environment with 25, 30, 40 knots of wind shear going into Florida right there, and it's not getting any better as it approaches the Atlantic right here, around 40 to 50 knots of wind shear going out there. So definitely something to keep an eye on right there, ladies and gentlemen. And one last thing I want to go ahead and check is the relative humidity with the moist air. And it's kind of mixed right now because to its north, there is some very moist air that this system could tap into and develop and maybe overcome that wind shear if that wind shear weakens by maybe another 5 to 10 knots or so. But to its southwest, it has dry air, very dry air actually, off of the western Gulf of Mexico right there, which could hamper its development further. So definitely something we need to pay attention to right here, because what really kills developing tropical systems is the dry air. You can have good warm water and you can have good wind shear, but if dry air gets into that, unless that system can fight it out, well, it's going to kill the system in the next 12 to 24 hours or so. So definitely something we need to keep in mind going forward right here. Now we're going to go ahead and show you the wind shear map as we continue through in the next few days. This is what we got going on. The wind shear does weaken maybe a little bit in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, getting around to like 20, 25 knots or so of wind shear, which is definitely manageable, but then it starts to really pick back up again as the system moves through Florida, and as you can see, it's a very volatile environment of wind shear right here 4 days out, especially over the Atlantic Ocean right now, cracking 50 knots all over the place right there. But you know what has really good low wind shear right now at 5 days out? The Caribbean, as well as the main development region and the intertropical convergence zone. So basically what I'm seeing here is that if this high pressure system moves a little bit further north than anticipated, and we have very warm water in the Caribbean Sea, mind you, we're looking at 27, 28, 29 degrees Celsius of this stuff, or about 80 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit of very warm temperatures across the Caribbean Sea right here. And if we take a look at the ocean heat content, it is only continuing to blow up by the day. We're seeing multiple areas of 100 off the coast of Haiti and the Dominican Republic right there, as well as near French Guiana and Brazil over here. So that taps in and was with the weak wind shear. And if we take a look at the humidity right here, if we take a look at that, there is still plenty of moist air that this thing could tap into. So if that high pressure system can move maybe 50 to even 100 miles further to the north which I don't think is really going to happen. But if it did move that far up to the north, the Caribbean could absolutely see some development going on the next 5 days or so. However, we're going to have to wait and see what's going on that front right there. We're going to go ahead and continue showing the wind shear going on right here. The wind shear starts to pick up a little bit in the Caribbean Sea by 180 hours out, or about a week or so, and it kind of just fluctuates as time continues to go on. The main development region also fluctuates. This kind of stuff is very typical for the month of June. That's why you don't see very many tropical systems, because the wind shear can be volatile in some areas. And that's why when in July we start seeing a weakening of the wind shear generally, and then by August it's pretty much primed for hurricane development right there. So that's why we see so many intense hurricanes starting in August into September into October, because the waters are already pretty warm. They're primed for development, but it's just that wind shear and that dry air that needs to be taken care of for the first 2 months of hurricane season. So that's pretty much the situation we have right here. And one last thing I want to take a look at is the shear anomalies going into this, which basically are if it's above average, below average, right there. And if we take a look at it 120 hours out on June 5th, the shear is way above average across this part of the Atlantic Ocean right here, from Morocco all the way to North Carolina right here. But if you take a look at the Caribbean Sea, it's actually a lot lower than average right there, and it gets exacerbated even further right here, which that could set up an interesting hurricane season right there if those anomalies continue to develop right there. And this is what we got right here. Like, we have lower than average Eastern Caribbean Sea wind shear right there. We have higher than average moisture over there as well. So that could definitely set up something for it happening in the next month or so. So we'll continue to update you here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel as that continues to go on. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps us out and helps us make more videos like these. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. But with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.